York's classic rock, Q1043.
I can't believe I have not met Michael Dorf yet, because God knows how many times I've been to City Winery and the Knitting Club. And this is the man who started both. And he has joined us today because we're going to talk about basically Save Our Stages, where we are with that, where we are with really saving these businesses. It has been almost a year of no business for people like Michael Dorf. First of all, how are you surviving the pandemic?
Well, I'm surviving it pretty well. The reason we haven't met at City Winery or the Knitting Factory in the past is I tried not to wear a name tag that said, go ahead, ask me for free admission or free drink, because, you know, I have a habit of doing that all the time when I see people. So I try and remain a little bit in the background. You know, the surviving of this virus has been personally the most challenging thing I've ever experienced, as most people would answer the same way. No one's ever seen anything like this. You know, the most painful element was really where we were as a business in February of last year, to then get reduced from a employee count from 1,400 people nationally down to about 150 today. That's a lot of people that are not getting a paycheck from us. And while there's been various stimulus that supported people in different ways and unemployment, it's not the same as working. People like to work. People in the hospitality industry actually like to serve others. They like to do what they do. And there's a lot of pain in my staff right now. We've tried so many things to keep people engaged and do City Winery, both employed and furloughed wine tastings and gatherings and things to just keep a sense of family. But it's been so hard to do that.
Are you going to be able to survive? Will the City Winery and Knitting Clubs survive?
Well, I'm not involved with the Knitting Factory anymore, but the NIVA Association, the National Independent of Venues, estimates that more than half of the independent music venues around the country are not surviving. And that's a real tragedy happening in big and small markets everywhere. City Winery is going to make it, thank God. We will come out of this thing reasonably healthy. We were in a good position as sort of a mini chain, if you will, with 10 locations around the country, and we had some financing that was in place. And 2019 was an incredible year for us, and we were growing into 2020. So we had some savings that was going into our construction projects, and we've been bobbing and weaving. I've sold air rights in Chicago and historic tax credits in the Hudson Valley, and we've really done a lot, including getting some PPP in the first round that has allowed us to get to where we are today. And now with the light at the end of the tunnel, meaning that come summer of this year, 21, we know we have enough outdoor dining and lemonade stands, if you will. Of course, we sell wine in our lemonade stands, but we have enough of those outdoors that we know we're going to get to the fall. And if we can get to the fall, we anticipate there'll be enough vaccines in people's arms that we will see some form of herd immunity, that America under Biden is certainly going to have more serious attention to the science and to the need for testing, consistent testing, and mask wearing, so that by the fall, I think we'll get through most of this and we'll be back in action.
There's been so much confusion about this, restaurants and with live entertainment, because you can go to the grocery store and that's okay. And you can go to Kohl's, you can go to Home Depot. I, have you had any input on this discussion with the governor? Because it's
Yeah.
left state by state, and even that has been so confusing.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. I mean, I've I don't want to diss my friend, the governor, Mr. Cuomo in New York. Every state's been different, and I would say I respect and I'm proud to be a New Yorker and proud that Governor Cuomo, relative to every other um, governor, has been serious about this and has deferred more to science and numbers than so actually some of the Republican states that we are in, like Georgia and Tennessee, where it's the Wild West to some extent. And then you have local mayors who are putting in different restrictions. Governor Cuomo has really tried to do his best to manage the pandemic. However, and it's a big however, there's been a number of inconsistencies, both with New York City, as we've seen with dining, for whatever reason, even though counties outside of Manhattan have been allowed to have indoor dining, New York City has not, and it's been more restrictive in Manhattan. Yes, it's a denser city, but actually the numbers in Manhattan have been better. And but to answer your question, I actually paid a lobbyist over the summer to gain real access to the inner sanctum of the governor's office, especially to push on the agenda of live entertainment, because I really felt live entertainment was getting just inconsistently beat up, unfairly, and very unjustly singled out. Museums were being able to open. As you said, you could go to Walgreens and Walmart, be in line and actually be in almost a congested area for certain things. And then when dining was being allowed, even with certain capacities, music was still not allowed to be played. And that was insane. And they started having rules saying, well, you could have incidental music, but you can't charge a ticket or market who's performing. So that
Wait a
meant,
minute, what does incidental music
yeah.
even mean? What
Well,
is that?
the definition on the State Liquor Authority's website is very clear. It means you can have a band on a stage, you just can't let anyone know who they are or sell a ticket. They can't earn a living. And it was done so that you could have background music, sort of eye candy, but it wasn't about really putting on a show. It was certainly very discriminatory to actual professional musicians. And and look at there were incidents like the chain smokers in the Hamptons, and and a bunch of private and unprofessional managed events that caused a black eye for gathering. But the threat of losing one's liquor license, which is for us in the restaurant and venue business, without it you can't operate, right? We need to sell alcohol to pay our bills. Putting on a show and having butts in seats to see performance, most of that money goes to the artist. So that's just a way to fill up a room. The only way we can pay our overhead and staff and taxes is from selling of alcohol. It's a much higher margin than even food. And so that's what runs the live music venue. Frankly, it's what runs live entertainment. If it wasn't for all the beer sold at Yankee Stadium, we would see a much different version of live sports as well, and there's certainly baseball. with sports, at least you have some television broadcast revenue that can work. That doesn't work in a world where there's so much live streams and people who pay no money to watch stuff online. So the live concert is very precious, and the only way is to allow for alcohol to be sold in the space where there's live music. And so the governor restricted all live shows, period. And that was just very, very painful, because we still, to this day, even if they open indoor dining in New York next week or the week after, we can't put on a show. So Broadway can't reopen.
I am speaking with Michael Dorf. He is the founder and CEO of City Winery. Another thing I did not understand, Michael, and I see this all over, you're allowed to have outdoor dining and you're in this bubble, and I'm thinking, how are you not possibly spreading the virus even more than you would indoors if you had perhaps, and I've seen this in a restaurant in Pennsylvania, plexiglass that is separating the tables. So how is being under this plastic wrap safer?
Now, they unfortunately putting people outside because they can't go inside, and then creating these petri dish dining experiences is pretty absurd. The official rule is you need 2 of the 4 sides of your outdoor enclosure open. But when it's 30 degrees out,
right,
customers don't want 2 sides open. You know, why even try to put a little space heater in there, you know, and run an electric cord? Or, you know, they did allow eventually in October the FDNY propane heaters, but still, unless you are enclosing on 4 sides, to some extent, you can't heat. And so most restaurants are not complying when they do the outdoor with having, you know, 2 open sides. And so you're creating, unless you have like an igloo that's per party, which is safe because you're not exposing different parties to each other. But in the 20-person outdoor enclosure, where they'll put up some plastic on the 3rd and 4th sides, that's a real problem, and endangering, and much worse than if they let people indoors, which could have filtration systems and higher ceilings and airflow that's legit. So that's just one of the catch-22, you know, ironic, dumb, I'll repeat, dumb decisions, you know, that and outcomes that has happened. You know, enforcing all these rules that are being put is very difficult. It's all coming from a place of trying to protect, you know, the safety of customers and the staff. And unfortunately, you know, they're not on the state of the art. I mean, what we tried at City Winery, which was extremely successful, was rapid antigen tests at the front door. And we did this in December, 2 days a week, so we could create a bubble, a nightly bubble inside our space. Now, it was $50, and it cost us about $60 a test with the practitioners and all, because it's not being adopted. It's not being pushed by the governor or the mayor, which is unfortunate. But we tested our staff every day, and then the customers coming in, and you had to be negative to come inside. And that created a safe cocoon or bubble. Now, we still had all of the same other protocols, mask wearing, you know, when you are in and out. Only
well, just about, we're really out of time. I'm so sorry. Michael Dorf, he is the founder and CEO of City Winery. And I'm just so happy to hear that City Winery is going to survive, because it's one of our favorite places. And coming up next, I'm going to be speaking with Marjorie Cadigan. She is the New York City Human Resources Administration Executive Deputy Commissioner, and what small businesses are telling her during the pandemic. Next, Q104.3.
New York's classic rock, Q104.3.